Hey kids, Treacle here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I begin a new series which is going to be quite tricky, rather challenging. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to rate each of Mariah's albums. Let's get started. So I was thinking of content that would be interesting and relevant to Mariah's 30th anniversary year, and I thought I have to revisit all the albums in some capacity. So I thought, why not try and rate them? First of all, I thought about ranking them, doing one video ranking them, but I thought, well, I've got to consider each album individually and kind of score it. So let's do one video per album. So this is what the series will be, and at the end of it I'll have points in a leaderboard, a score chart for all of the albums, and we'll see how that turns out. I'm going to start with the debut album, Mariah Carey, today. I invite you to join along with me and score the album against a set of criteria that I've come up with, and let's see how we do. Let's see how I score the album, how you score it, and compare. As this is the first album that I am rating, let's have a quick look at the scoring system. The first criteria is simply songs, and by that I mean how much I enjoy and like the songs in the album. As simple as that. What do you think of the songs? I wanted to break the songs down even further, so the second category that we are scoring against is lyrics. By this I mean if you take the good old-fashioned CD insert out and you are reading the lyrics, or maybe you're reading online. This is lyrically what jumps out to you, what impacts you, what you think of the songs on the album lyrically. Third category, very important, vocals. Each of the albums are coming from a different point in Mariah's career, different eras, and we're going to score the album on vocals. The fourth category is unity. I wasn't really sure what to call this one. Maybe I'll change the name if I can think of a better name. Suggestions in the comments, please. But what I mean by unity is how the album stands as a body of work. So how well all the songs flow in from one to another, how well they just stand next to each other. Does it feel like a cohesive body of work? And the fifth category that I'm considering when I score these albums is longevity. How well has the album stood the test of time? Is it something that has stayed with me? How much of an impact has it had on me and pop culture and society in general? So that is the fifth one. So for songs, lyrics, vocals, unity, and longevity, I'm going to give a score out of 10. So the maximum points available for any album is 50. I'm going to do this with every album. I'm going to kick off right now with the debut. So first of all, right off the bat, these are my opinions. This is how I feel about the album. Some of you are going to agree with me. Some of you are going to disagree. Some of you disagree very strongly. That's totally fine. Much love to everyone and their own opinions. These are just mine. Let's remind ourselves of a few key facts. The debut album came out in 1990 and spawned for Mariah 4 #1 hits: Vision of Love, I Don't Wanna Cry, Someday, and Love Takes Time. Many or most of you will know that Love Takes Time was an additional track that was thrown into the mix at the last minute. It was not on the original track listing for the album. Mariah was working on it, I think, for the second album, and when Tommy Mottola heard it, he said, no, this is too good. It has to go on the album. So there are some rare versions of the album that don't have Love Takes Time either on the CD and it's missing from the track listing on the back, or one or both, I'm not sure. But if you have one and Love Takes Time is not on the artwork, on the track listing rather, on the back, then that is a rare early edition, because it was added very last minute. It was added at the 11th hour, as I understand. First and foremost, I love the debut album because it was Mariah's introduction to the world as a singer and songwriter. It's very strong. Even just with Vision of Love, for that one song alone, it is an album to be reckoned with. Many of your current favorites, kids, credit Mariah, specifically Vision of Love, with being a massive influence. For the first category, songs, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, which may seem a little low, may seem a little harsh, but when I think about Mariah's full body of work, her full discography, and if I were to make a top 20 songs throughout her career, there would only be one or two maybe that come from this album. So it is a very strong album. There are many, many amazing songs, but when I think about what are my personal favorites, they don't all come from this album. I'm going to start off with rather reserved 6 out of 10 for songs. Lyrics is the second category. So this one, I like to remind myself of the lyrics by flicking through and reading them away from the song. So I'm really just focusing on the lyrics. And it is very, very impressive songwriting, in my opinion. But she's still very young. Some of these songs she wrote as a teenager, which is mind-blowing and so impressive in its own right. But she is just starting out. When I think of songs that I love the lyrics to, they're coming later in her career, maybe a good few years further down the line. So I went back and forth on this, but ultimately I landed on, again, a 6. Strong start, but I'm going to leave room again for it to go up higher with other albums. So lyrics, get a 6. A quick note on lyrics. The song There's Got to Be a Way is a song that is rather political. It was very political back then, and it's still political today. But I love the fact that Mariah was having open commentary about society. And you'll remember, of course, as I do, very recently on Mariah's Instagram, she posted a very short clip of her singing a little bit of the song, reflecting what's going on in society right now in 2020.
I don't understand how that can be regulated bigotry. There's got to be a way to connect this world today.
I didn't realize when I first met Mariah through her music that she was biracial, that her father was Black Venezuelan and her mother was Irish. And to look back and to recognize this song, There's Got to Be a Way, on her debut album with such a clear message and, like I said, open commentary on society, hats off to her. I think that's really, really brave, amazing. And I love the fact she had the support from the label to include that. Vocals. This is one I'm going to really struggle with because how do you not give a 10 out of 10 for everything? But as I said, Mariah is giving us albums across the years that are coming from different points in her life, and she is going to sound different. She's going to be experimenting slightly. She's going to give us different flavors and textures from her voice. So that is where I'm coming from when I think about it. For the debut, I have given it an 8. And I really struggle with this one, I'll be honest. I think I've got to put something on the table. There are absolutely amazing killer vocals. I'm giving it an 8 because then there is room to give more, because she does give us more as her voice and her style matures and she experiments a bit more. She gives us different textures, different areas of her voice. So I'm going to give an 8 to the debut. Okay, so for Unity, this is a category that I really struggled with. Like, I'm not going to struggle with all the categories and all the albums, whatever. But this one I did struggle with because in my brain, half the songs go in one camp and the other half in another camp. And I think it kind of bleeds into the next category, longevity. But focusing on Unity, what happens is some of them sound dated and some of them still sound more current. I think that's what my brain does. And I think part of it does get influenced by the longevity because we hear certain songs throughout the years. Love Takes Time is something that she's brought back into set lists in more recent years. Vision of Love, she's never left alone. That's always been there. So there are some songs that they still feel relevant and people are still singing them. So they feel more timeless. Whereas some songs, Prisoner, when she goes into a bit of rapping, Alone in Love, All in Your Mind, these kind of songs, anytime the electric guitar comes out, there are songs that to me, I'm like, yeah, this album was, 1990. We've still got one foot in the 80s maybe. So my brain kind of splits the songs. So I do think from start to finish, it is a very strong debut and it does all wrap together nicely. But my brain automatically kind of shuffles them into 2 mini playlists. I don't know if this makes any sense. I'm starting to ramble, so I'll wrap it up. But I'm going to give Unity a 6. As I said, longevity for me is kind of linked to the Unity, particularly on this album. I'm going to give it a mark higher than Unity. I'm going to give it a 7 because there is really, really good longevity in many of the songs. The album as a whole, I think, gets a lot of respect from many other artists and critics because it set her up as such a strong debut. And because we have Love Takes Time, because we have Vision of Love on there, it is really, really strong. The album as a whole has aged, but there are songs that are just so strong, they're still really, really relevant today. So if I've added up correctly, that comes to a total score of 33 out of 50, which may seem quite low, but I'm happy with that. I don't think any album's really going to get less than 50%. I say that, let's see. So nothing should get less than half marks, which is 25 out of 50. So 33, I think I'm happy with that. I'm comfortable with that one as an opener because there's room to grow. There are many albums coming up that I know are going to score higher than this in my personal taste. So I think that's about right maybe. So 33 out of 50 is what I came up with. Let me know in the comments how you scored the album. And in these videos, I'm going to add 2 extra things. We're going to give a repeat and we're going to give a skip. So first of all, the repeat. Favorite song, something that you want to hear again if you were listening to the album, which is the one song that you want to go back and listen to one more time, or if you could only listen to one song from the entire album, what is it going to be? Now, the songs that I enjoy most from this album are Vision of Love, of course, Love Takes Time, Vanishing, and All in Your Mind. But I know deep, deep down in my heart, it's a very obvious choice. My favorite from this album is Vanishing. I love the vocal performance more than anything and how stripped it is. It's she's almost showboating a little bit. She's kind of showing off. Well, she is. It's her debut and she should. That's what it's about. But I love it. I can just picture her at the piano and a few backing singers and that's it. That's all that's needed. So my repeat is Vanishing. Okay, so now for the tough one, the skip. If you had to pick one song to skip and not listen to in the album, what would it be? My contenders were, now when I thought of the album, I had Prisoner on this list. And there are many, many hardcore Prisoner fans and lovers out there. Please don't hate me. But I will confess, when I listened to the album again today a couple of times, I realized I do really enjoy it. What puts me off is the rap part because it just ages it. And she shouldn't be doing that. Like, I just don't feel like she was having fun and whatever. And I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but I don't enjoy that part of it. So I took Prisoner off of my potential scrap list and it came down to Someday and Sent from Up Above. And I'm going to co-sign with Mariah and I'm going to go with Someday. I know it was one of the #1 hits, but it's very pop. It is one of the songs that feels like it's got one foot still back in the 80s. I still enjoy it, of course, but if I had to pick one song to skip, it would be Someday. So that's it for today. That is what we are doing. My total score for Mariah Carey's debut album was 33 out of 50. My repeat would be Vanishing and my skip would be Someday. What about you guys? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested to compare with you guys. Maybe some of you would skip Vanishing and you would repeat Someday. And we just completely disagree. But it's all fun. It's all with love. Everyone has their own preferences. But hit me up in the comments and let me know your thoughts. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining in. I hope you will join me in rating all of the albums as we go through. I will be back very soon with album number 2, Emotions. If you are watching this video and you haven't yet subscribed, please do. It helps support my channel and I really appreciate that. I will see you again very, very soon. Before you rush off, maybe check out another video. There's a couple of other Mariah ones you might enjoy. I will see you very soon. Cheers. Thanks a lot.